Hi, my name is Cyndi Charney, and I'm a member of the Chichester Historical Society. The Society is very pleased to be able to participate in what we hope to be the first of a series of videos pertaining to local history in Upper Chichester Township. Women's History Month is an annual celebration that highlights the contributions of women in history and contemporary society. It is celebrated during March in the United States. One of the most significant accomplishments of women in the 20th century is passage of the 19th Amendment, giving American women the right to vote. The movement gathered steam in Pennsylvania in 1915 when the Women's Suffrage Amendment was on the ballot. In May of that year, a rally was held at the McKay Avenue School and a Women's Suffrage League was formed. At a time when the township population was less than 1,000, approximately 50 residents were in attendance, including several local prominent men who supported women's right to vote. The leaders of the new suffrage organization were Mary Ogden Worrell, leader, Daisy Smith, vice leader, Louise Helms, secretary and treasurer, and Violet Ogden, chairman of enrollment. Though the amendment was defeated in Pennsylvania that year, the movement continued to gain momentum. In 1919, both the U.S. House and Senate passed the 19th Amendment. It was ratified by the states, and on August 26, 1920, passed into law, giving women the right to vote throughout the United States. So who were these local leaders in the controversial suffrage movement? The leader, Mary Louisa Ogden, was born in 1866 and raised in Upper Chichester Township. She was the daughter of John and Emily Ogden, owners of a large dairy farm along Naaman's Creek Road. Mary married George Perry Worrell in 1889. As a wedding gift, Mary's parents gave her and George a plot of land on the east side of Naaman's Creek Road, where the Worrells built their home. By 1915, when the suffrage movement was well underway, Mary was the mother of 3 young children whose care filled her days. The Ogdens were Quakers. Mary was an 8th-generation descendant of David Ogden, who traveled with William Penn in 1682 from England to the Pennsylvania colony on the ship Welcome. Mary was undoubtedly influenced by her Quaker upbringing and Quaker leaders in the national movement like Susan B. Anthony and family friend Lucretia Mott, a prominent Philadelphia Quaker minister and a leader in the suffrage movement. Following defeat of the 1915 referendum in Pennsylvania, Mary continued to support the movement until the 19th Amendment was passed a few years later. Throughout her life, Mary was active in various civic organizations. In addition to leading the Boothwyn suffrage movement, she was a charter member of the Women's Republican Club of Delaware County, and she served on the Delaware County Board of Prison Inspectors from 1927 until her resignation in 1943. Following her husband George's death, Mary moved to Philadelphia, where she lived with her daughters, Anna and Harriet, until her death in February 1952 at the age of 85. Vice leader, Harriet Daisy Smith, known always as Daisy, was a lifelong resident of Upper Chichester Township. Firstborn and the daughter of John Bird Smith and Rachel Stevenson, she and her sister Sally and 5 half-siblings were raised by their mother following their father's death in 1880. In 1889, Daisy's mother, Rachel, opened and operated the first post office in Upper Chichester Township in their home on Chichester Avenue. Daisy was educated in the Upper Chichester schools and at Gilbert's Chester Academy and Normal School, a fashionable private school located at 9th and Potter Streets in Chester. Early in her teaching career, she taught as a substitute at the academy and other local schools. After obtaining her teaching certificate, she accepted a position at the Rock Hill Primary School in Lower Chichester Township. The following year, she transferred to Linwood Elementary School, where she devoted the remainder of her teaching career. In 1911, Daisy made local history by becoming the first elected woman director of the school board. Considering that only men were permitted to vote at the time, it seems clear that Daisy was well respected within the community. Miss Daisy, as she was known by her students, retired in 1940 after 50 years of teaching. Described as a tiny, vivacious, gentle woman, Daisy never married. She and her sister lived on the homestead their entire lives. Over time, the 26-acre property was subdivided, and Daisy donated 3 acres of land to the Chichester School District for athletic fields. Though she wanted the field to be called the Collette Grant, it was always affectionately referred to as Daisy Field. She and Sally built a new home at 2337 Chichester Avenue, adjacent to Boothwyn Apothecary, where Daisy, an avid gardener, tended her fruit trees, grapevines, and perennials. Following her sister's death in 1959, Daisy moved to the Francisburg Memorial Nursing Home, formerly located on Bethel Road. At the time of Daisy's death in 1964, at the age of 94, she was the oldest retired school teacher in Delaware County. Daisy was laid to rest at St. Martin's Church, where she was a lifelong member and honorary life member of the vestry. In addition to her church work, she helped form the first PTA in Linwood and served as its secretary for years. She also was a delegate to the first National Convention of Teachers in 1893. She was a member of the Delaware County Historical Society, a charter member of the Chester Unit of the American Red Cross, the Women's Division of the United Fund, the Linwood WCTU, and she was a charter member of the Linwood Century Club. Daisy Smith was a groundbreaker for women and lived a life of community service and accomplishment. Done.
Done.